Well, every now and then we see a project that really gets the neighbours talking. Today on the show, we're going to see a house in Perth that deconstructs the Australian streetscape and turns it on its head. Just wait until you see this one. This is Build Me a Home.
We're here in City Beach, a beachside suburb of Perth. It's not uncommon here to see older era houses sitting right next to modern mansions. It's an idyllic location with close proximity to Perth CBD, but also enjoying an easy escape to the white sandy beaches. The owners of this property have engaged builder Cambuild and architect Stig Banham to create and build their dream home. And first, it meant pulling down the existing one.
So what was here before?
An old house, 1940s house that had been used numerous times but reached the end of its economic life.
So you couldn't keep any of it?
No, definitely not. The scope for what we're building here is significantly different from what was here before.
There's a lot of different architecture going here. I mean, we're looking at the 70s, there's 40s, there's kind of all over the shop.
Yeah, I think in the early year of this was a sand dune suburb, and people didn't really think about what was happening with the ocean and the views, and now people really appreciate the landscape. So now it's all about aesthetics, the look, having the outlook, and so we're putting something in that really mimics the landscape, the sand dunes, and doesn't impact too heavily.
Now, the design has been finalised.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what is it going to look like?
So it's all about the linear horizontal lines.
Yep.
So when you look into the home from the street, it's really about getting a sense that the house is floating.
We check with Stig to find out the background of the design.
Well, the old house is, I think you find, is really quite dated and not really fitting to what the client's needs and aspirations, and really doesn't make the best use of the block or the views or anything that this location really demands. So yes, no, I think a clean slate is definitely in order. Well, the client found us from another house that we did in the locality, as it happens. So yes, I guess they had they'd seen something of similar style that we'd done. So so they'd already come to us with a preconceived image, I suppose, of what it was that they were after. Whenever we start designing a house, it starts with the block, and it's really the site that dictates a lot of what happens in the process of the design and the planning. It's a challenging block. It's the slope, sloping away from the road. The northern aspect is on the road. So there's lots of issues that make it, that are going to require quite an innovative design, I think, to pull this one off. So what I'm thinking is we're going to have to get all the outdoor living areas to the north, but facing the street. But we're going to have to elevate them so they're up and give them some privacy. With putting all the living areas upstairs, we've made a decision that the pool has really got to move up there with them. Now that's going to provide us a few structural challenges. That's going to be quite a interesting and exciting part of the design, I think.
Of course, it makes complete sense to have one of the house's main features, the pool, right next to the living areas. But achieving this will be an almighty challenge.
The connection between the ground floor and the upper floor. I just couldn't get it right in my head that we had the upper floor with all the living areas and the pool downstairs, and I couldn't imagine walking down the stairs with a cocktail.
Yeah, exactly, the pool.
So
this is actually really incredible. But you're going to have the pool in the front yard, and everyone walking past can see.
Well, in theory, yes.
Okay.
But with the way the glass window is in the front of the pool, the light reflects out. So you have a refraction process that goes through the pool. So when you're in it, you need to be absolutely dead centre in order to see you.
Hang on a second. Did they say glass window?
With the way the glass window is in front of the pool, the light reflects out.
Not only are Stig and Cam planning on raising the pool up to the first floor, they thought why not add some wow with a glass window for the front of the pool. But getting the right balance between privacy and show is going to be tricky.
I guess that's why people come again to an architect, is they want something different. They don't want a traditional house that looks the same as everything else along the road. And I suppose in its very exposed location on the corner, it meant that we had to really think about how the house relates and responds to the street. We hope this house will be, I suppose, quite an eye-opener. Not only something that the client can be extremely proud of, but at the end of the day, we hope that it's something we'll be very, very happy to have on our resume as well.
After the break, we see the house really start to take shape. And later, we reveal the home in all its glory. We're here in City Beach, a beachside suburb of Perth, to watch the build of this modern house that's really challenging the way we think about suburban facades and streetscapes. We catch up with Steve to find out how he got the clients on board for this exciting design.
I suppose they took the attitude that we're creating something really different here and exciting. So when we explained the concept to them, there was some hesitation at first, but then they seemed to have really jumped on board and embraced the idea. So the front facade of the pool is actually going to be a one piece of glass that's actually fixed onto the face of the concrete, and we're looking at 40mm thick glass to achieve that. So that by itself is an engineering feat that hasn't really been done locally here before. This took a lot of negotiation with the engineer, how to make sure that the pool shell is waterproof properly, but integral to the structure of the home as well. The engineers assured me that the joints and everything that we've designed, that it won't leak and that it will also stand up. Cam coined the pool as the iPool. He thought the design of it rather looked somewhat like an iPad with its very clean, minimal finish and design.
Iconic designs always have nicknames, but we'll see if iPool sticks. There's still a way to go until we see the reference in full effect, and these early stages can make or break a good design. Cam talks more on the finishes of the house.
Every area that you go into, every finish, you really need to consider what it's going to look like at the end.
Yep.
And think about that before you start to
Okay.
make sure that what you're doing and what everyone's doing. So simple things like someone stepping on the slab with footprints or marking anything on the slab, that will be left there. Once the concrete's poured, that will etch itself into the concrete. And when you strip the formwork out, you're left almost like a 3D printer underneath with everything
You do not want that.
underneath. Definitely not.
Because the ceiling is going to be concrete as well.
Yeah, so ceiling's concrete with then a hand-finished trowel,
Wow.
white plaster over the top.
Have you done something like this before?
We've done a couple like this, but this
Okay.
one's particularly interesting.
The roof we're looking at as a concrete slab. That's something we've done with a number of our houses, along the coast in particular. And the reason we're looking at that is for both for maintenance, and it also gives us a very slim profile, which will help with the height restriction that we have. There is very strict height restrictions, so everyone's view is protected. So much of the designs lend towards having a flat roof, so we can elevate the house as much as possible so they can get as much view as they can. Because of the curving nature of the front site, we sort of embraced that into the design, and the curving wall also helps sort of lead people into where the entry is. I suppose the design with all the living areas upstairs, the progression to the entry and into the living areas of the house presented a bit of a challenge. So we've used this curved wall as a bit of a feature to help guide people into the heart of the home. So yes, it seems to be moving along quite well at this stage. It's on time and currently on budget. So yes, we look forward to seeing it take shape.
After the break, we can finally reveal the finished house in all its glory. Well, the day is finally here. I met up with Cam on a beautiful Perth day. I'm finding it a little hard to stop looking at the amazing sight of a clear square of blue water.
Well, g'day Cam, how are you, mate?
G'day Gary, how are you?
Very well, and very well now I've seen this house finished. It's been 2.5 years in the making.
Yes, it's been a great project. It's been good to see you guys coming and going as we've been building.
So it's 5 levels, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite a deceiving block. It's 2 stories from the front, but it splits down, so it's a 5-stage lift.
It's unbelievable. So what are we going to see today?
Oh, you're going to see an amazing home with panoramas to the ocean.
Yep.
Something that's very easy to live in, that's been tailored to suit exactly the client's needs.
Yeah, great. And a pretty spectacular pool.
Yes, has attracted a bit of attention.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's go and take the tour, shall we?
Terrific, come in.
The site is quite an odd-shaped site. It sort of is quite wide at the front, but it tapers right down to the back, and it's got quite a big slope on it. So that presented quite a bit of a challenge for us. Being north, being facing the street, also presented a bit of a challenge. How do you get nice natural daylight to all the living areas when they're exposed to the street? The concept that we evolved around these constraints, and what we came up with, I suppose, is an upside-down house. We put the living areas all at the top where the views are, and hence putting the swimming pool and all the terrace up above, and also gives you some level of privacy from the street. We started with plans where we had the pool down below, but then it soon became evident that that just wasn't really going to work. So we said, hell with it, we'll stick the pool up there as well.
When we were designing the house with Steve, we came down here with a cherry picker.
Yep.
And put it up on when the tenants were still here in the old house.
Yeah.
And we raised it up and down with the clients in it to show them what the potential view was.
Right.
So that was one of the anchor points for the design. It was all about the view.
Well, you've pretty much built as high as you can go here, haven't you?
Yeah, because of the design of the house being flat, we're able to push up. And with a sloping block, it was quite challenging.
Oh, okay, because the roof is dead flat, isn't it? And it's only
Correct.
thin too.
Yeah, so it's only 2 courses or 150 mil on the front edge.
Okay.
So the idea is to make it look floating and very thin on the front edge.
Yep.
We deleted a lot of the columns inside and put concrete beams standing up on the roof. So upturned beams that you can't see from below, so it really leaves it open.
It has a concrete roof. We find that's fantastic again from a low maintenance point of view. It also has fantastic thermal properties. It's a little bit of departure from what most people are doing, but yes, it seems to work very, very well. There are actually solar panels up on top, but hidden from view.
Throughout the house, we've got Dakin reverse cycle air conditioning,
Yep.
which is being ducted very subtly above all the cabinets.
Yep.
And basically it pushes cool or warm air out towards the areas where the heat penetrates from the windows.
You've got a concrete, have you got in-floor heating as well?
Yep, so we've got electric in-floor heating here,
Right.
which runs off the solar.
Yep. Oh,
There's 10.2 kilowatts of solar on the roof.
that is great.
All north facing and west facing, so in the afternoon when the sun is going down, it keeps the power pumping in to run the aircon.
Concrete roof is a fantastic idea, and you don't see a lot of it these days. It was done pretty a lot in the 50s,
Yeah.
but you just don't see it these days.
No, it's something, in Perth it's a very challenging concept. I think if you go back into European times, it's a very traditional style of construction, but Perth is quite regimented in how it builds and thinks, and we like to think outside of the box and really challenge the design parameters and do something that's unique.
I love coming to Perth for that reason. Everything that is done here is on steroids.
Yes.
I mean, you just don't see a pool in the front yard like you do here in Perth.
Well, we say that as normal.
There's a lot you can't see in this home to get this minimalistic look, isn't there?
Correct. When you're putting things up in the air that appear to be floating, and they are concrete, and there's about 800 tonnes of concrete in this house, there's a lot of activity to make sure it doesn't collapse.
Yeah.
A lot of engineering. Engineer is particularly creative, very experienced.
Okay.
So when we talked about putting the pool on the side of the house, he quite enjoyed the challenge of putting that together.
Well, I mean, just looking from here, that whole roof looks as if nothing's holding it up.
It was an interesting concept when we were putting all the steelwork up and we're working through with the formworker, and he said, what's actually holding this house up? And I said, that column. So it's really important we get this right.
Now, glass, there is glass everywhere. I mean, there's more glass walls than there are normal walls.
Yeah, so if you actually go through the ratio of the glazing in this house, more than half of the walls of the house are glass. So, and glazing is an incredible element to use in architecture. So it's really important to consider the heat loss, heat gain. So we've got Comfort Plus, which will reflect the heat in summer and radiate the heat back inside during winter.
So when Steve designed the front entry, the first thing you do is you see right through the house.
Yeah, so really interesting to funnel your thoughts and your emotions through the house.
Yep.
So there's a nice feature tree and the staircase goes over that 5 levels at the back.
Wow.
So there's a feature tree, the piece of glass at the back of that we had to crane in weighed 1,200 kilos.
Wow.
It happened to be on the day that the crane was booked, it was going to be dead calm and a storm came through Perth.
Oh no.
So it was quite challenging lifting that into place without it smashing.
And you did it, obviously.
Yeah, we got it in. It was up there on the stressful end of things.
Also, the glass, the kitchen really faces out to suburbia there. I mean, can people see in at night?
Yeah, so we've got electric blinds everywhere through the house in areas that matter. So you can just off a remote put whatever blind you like down. You can put them all up,
and
down or
you
up.
can't see them, so they're obviously all under pelmets.
Yeah, so to help with insulation and lighting, with being a concrete roof, obviously you can't get in the roof space to run services. So there's a drop ceiling everywhere through the house.
Okay.
And that's an interesting opportunity to run a little rebate that you can then tuck all the blinds and curtains away.
Yes, the house, I think, is certainly, I certainly think it did challenge them, as it would challenge any builder, because it's certainly something that's out of the box. Although it seems minimal and everything is refined, it looks easy, but in fact minimalism is probably the hardest form of architecture to pull off successfully. So yes, any little sin will stand out. So it takes a builder of a special calibre to pull it off. Yeah. A good house, I think, needs to be planned very well to suit the site and the clients. But then you need those little touches of, I suppose, wow.
Well, I mean, just a little modern house of the future features. The range hood is invisible.
Yes, it's a very interesting concept. When we put the island bench in the middle, it was all about having the hub of the home focused on the view.
Yep.
And so traditionally you'd be standing there with a cooktop and you'd have a range hood come from the ceiling.
And you have your back to the view.
Yeah, just obscure everything. So Gaggenau make a very slick range hood that comes up out of the bench top. So you push a button, it pops up, sucks all the fumes out, and you finish, you push a button and it goes down again. So we needed to form a duct through the concrete slab so that the fumes go down through the cabinet, through the concrete slab and outside.
The master bedroom suite is at Jetson's house.
Floating.
It is floating, and I love the windows there. I mean, I can imagine waking up and just seeing that view. I mean, and it's very simple.
Yeah. So it's themed around the horizontal lines and looking at the horizon.
Yep.
So the blinds and curtains are electric. So when you're lying in bed in the morning, you can raise them to get the view, but still maintain your privacy.
Well, Cam, you've been amazing. Well done. Finally got to see this house, and it's just it has been everything that I could possibly imagine. So thanks, mate.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
It's well known a building or a house can't be iconic until it earns a fitting nickname. Well, it's official. The eye pull has stuck. And just like the compact and streamlined design used in that product, this house is a perfect example of classic minimalist design that's sure to become a timeless addition to our modern streetscape.